Hi,
Hi,
my name is Deepavali,
I'm her husband, Bappi.
and this is our thoughts on Steel Rain 1.
I think Still in One didn't have any other subtitle. It was just Still Rain. Released in 2017, written and directed by Yang Woo-suk. To give the premise of the movie, according to Google, a coup in North Korea forces an agent, North Korean agent, to escape to the South Korea, with the country's injured leader, North Korea's injured leader, in an attempt to keep him alive and prevent a nuclear war. Geopolitical thriller. Tom Clancy movie, Tom Clancy's story.
The directing on this movie is phenomenal. His writing and directing is so visibly what holds the entire like all of the elements together. You can tell that the transition from conception to the end through all the stages of production is cohesive and there's a vision to it. I really enjoyed that. I would also like to say that if we seem a little out of it today, it's because we both had the flu recently and we're just recovering. So my voice.
Mine too.
I really liked the elements of the family. I really liked seeing what the North Korean agent as well as the
You like the family dynamics of the characters a lot.
yeah. I really enjoyed seeing the contrast between a South Korean family and a North Korean family. The way it was depicted, their approach to food, where they were eating,
The character drama, the way they execute the choices they make are excellent. Again, I'll come back to that thing I call sensitivity and sensibility. And South Korean, these type of big movies, and what do I mean by big movies? Like they encompass more than a singular worldview. Like in this movie, you'll not just have South Korean, North Korean worldview, you're also going to have at least whatever the worldview US vertical proposes forward. And whatever we have seen them do behind the scenes. So it includes a lot of those. And just to give a bit of extra, it also has some of the allies around us, what their perspective and how they may include. So it usually, a geopolitical movie needs to include a lot of perspective to be a geopolitical thriller, a good one, and that itself is a very hard thing to do. Doing it competently and then doing it great is a feat. This movie falls in the feat category.
perfectly said.
I don't know if it's perfectly said, but
Perfectly said.
you know what? For a sick person I would admit it was well said.
You're so on point. This comparison might not make sense, but Steel Rain 1 almost reminds me of Face Off. When I say Face Off, I mean you get to see both John Travolta and Nicolas Cage's personal lives. You get to see what the people around them are like, and you get to see how it culminates in what these two characters' ultimate goal is. That's what I get in Steel Rain 1, but every single one of the characters is just so hyper realistic and so true to like there's comedy elements to it. Obviously geopolitical thrillers are really, I think, famous for their satire, for their wit,
Of course,
but
they have very punchy, sharp dialogues.
this movie's Steel Rain 1 is also sophisticated. It is a very nuanced and I would say even empathetic
There.
portrayal of what life in North Korea might be like for people who live there, and also what people in the South might feel towards those who are in the North. And that there are, I think, quite a few people in the South who would love for it to be both Koreas together. This movie portrays that. I'm not aware of the political situation as much. I don't have that much information about the politics in South Korea and North Korea, but this movie gave me that impression. And it was a movie that from the moment we meet the supposed protagonist, and the moment we meet the supposed antagonist, you empathize for both of them. You're aware that they're both men who are in very difficult circumstances in their lives. And for one, he's a divorced father who is feeling rather adrift in his life and feels sort of abandoned by everyone. And then you have a father who, for the sake of his family, for the sake of his country, he has to sacrifice his life. And the way he stays true to that, and the way you see that even this divorced father who felt abandoned by everybody else, when it comes down to will he be there for someone when they need him, he is completely there for this other character. And it's sort of the way their character stories are explored is magnificent.
I like the Face Off analogy. The Face Off had a lot of layers for an action movie, and so did this one. For the characters, they didn't shortchange with the layers. They explored all of them to the best of their ability, as well written with as well. Well, that's the thing. You can put a lot of layers into a character, but you also have to execute each of the layers properly. It's like pulling off a trick. You can do a lot of tricks, but you all have to come together. If you fumble in all of them or most of them, then overall the trick doesn't look good. The same thing. They had so many layers, but all of them were done so well. And your Face Off analogy just reminded me of that. Your Face Off is one of the examples of movies that did it well. A lot of movies try doing it. Oh my God, I watched so many Van Damme and Steven Seagal movies, and they shove in layers that go nowhere, that say nothing, they do nothing. The only thing they say is this character is awesome. This one was none of those type of layers.
Even if I refer back to even the way RRR explored character dynamics and showing the contrast between the titular characters, Steel Rain 1 did that as well.
Yeah.
When you give equal importance to both leads, and there's no sense of ego, there's no sense of like lack of cohesion on set, it just flows. You can tell that the actors have respect for the story. You can tell that this movie was crafted with not only passion but also with empathy.
Kwak Do Won and Jung Woo Sung, the two main leads. Hollywood should really take notice of them. Heck, you know what? What Hollywood? The world should take notice of them.
I would love to see either of them in movies in South Asia, okay? I would love to see them in one of our Deshi films, okay? Like, they're such good actors.
You know what I have the idea right now? Steel Rain 3. Get one of the Khans. And I'm using Khan as hell. Take Anil Kapoor. Anil Kapoor was taken hell. I'm gonna take any of the RRR, the person who played Amader Ram. You can take any of those old school or even mid school, like any of them would work.
I feel like this movie, Steel Rain 1, is the kind of movie where you would watch it and then afterwards you wouldn't be able to not discuss it with people. You would want to have people to talk about it. For example, I found myself looking it up on Twitter. I found myself looking up different like Facebook groups who I could talk to about Steel Rain 1. Reviews always talk about like how this movie doesn't showcase the best of South Korean acting, but the acting in this is phenomenal.
By the standard we get in Hollywood TV shows and everything, this is great acting. Yes, it is not the best, but again, if you're 8 across the board consistently, minute to minute, second to second, that itself is a different type of skill. It's a type of precision. That's it. If you don't have it, you can recognize it, but criticizing it would be very tone deaf.
I think one of my most favorite aspects is that the way these actors were utilized gave me the impression that their acting skills were fully utilized. Like, I wasn't looking at the scenes in the movie and going like, why is the writing like this? At no point did it not make sense. At no point did I go, this movie should have been better written. And for me, increasingly, I've been coming across that, especially from the West, stories are being written by people who either have not experienced what realistic circumstances are like, or they do not have enough time to execute their vision. When you turn film industries into businesses, well, when they become primarily industries, it's no longer about art. It's no longer about creating art or enjoying art. It becomes, oh, we need to have this many movies out this year. We need them to earn this much in profit so we can pay our shareholders, blah, blah, blah. When it comes to a movie like Steel Rain 1, I watched it and it didn't feel like it was about profit. It felt like it was about a story. It was about a message that was crucial, that was important, that I wanted to talk to the filmmakers about. When, as a creative, all I want to do is talk to the creatives behind this project, it makes me happy.
Young Woo Suk has another interesting fascination regarding the geopolitical thrillers, which is the Cold War era. The Cold War era is a bag full of so many snakes that if you open it up, you can make geopolitical thrillers for at least a decade to come. It will give you historical knowledge that will give you context not only for the geopolitical thriller, it will also give you context for the world. Like example, this one mentions about the origin of the first proxy war during the Cold War. And it was a pretty interesting stuff in there. It also puts into context of South Koreans themselves are also fully accepting their position in the world by accepting where they were in history, where they are now in present, and from there they can extrapolate and whatever.
Set course for.
Set a course for the future, like which direction of the future they want to go. And this movie is one of those. This director has charted a course. This director has charted a course. Like he knows where he wants South Korea to be, and he wants South Korea and North Korea united. And he does not want it under war. He wants it done peacefully. According to the story's thesis, as much as I've understood, could be wrong. The rest of the world can get involved, and of course they're going to play a big role, but in the end of the day, it is always going to be South Korea and North Korea's decision to get back together and become one country that they were. One thing this movie has also done that I've realized the Hollywood movies don't do, they make fun of North Korea. They always infantilize North Korean leaders, or they, under the guise of satire, they would make fun of them. This one treated them as people who fell victim to circumstances, whose, well, that's it, they're people going through political times just like everybody else. They have history too.
Watching movies like Steel Rain 1 has taught me anything, it's that I want to watch more movies from around the world, getting to see people's stories from their perspective and not having it be turned into a cartoon, not having it be used to sell an image that outsiders want to sell. I have to say, after growing up and like years of exposure to Western film that portrayed the Middle East the way it did, that portrayed Africa the way it did, that portrayed Asia the way it did, movies like Steel Rain 1 are a perfect example of our stories have weight too. Our beliefs have weight. The things we devote our lives to have weight. And constantly turning us into cartoons isn't going to erase that.
We also cannot depend on somebody else to give us our due diligence, give us our proper representation. That we have to do ourselves. And if nobody's gonna do it, we have to create ourselves or take it ourselves. They did. This entire production crew did. And it was excellent.
I think it's safe to say that we both really love this movie, and I would recommend you go watch it. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Please go watch Steel Rain 1. At the very least, you will not be lacking in food for thought.
Yeah.
I hope you have a great day, great night, wherever you are, and thank you for being patient with two people recovering from the flu.